Hello, my name is Nick Gamarro, and I am an environmental intern with the Stockton University Environmental Internship Program. In this presentation, we will be talking about the ongoing natural resources management efforts at the Girt National Guard Training Center, including the preservation of endangered shorebirds and the freshwater wetland conservation and enhancement project. We will also talk a little about the historic land use at the facility. The Girt National Guard Training Center sits on just over 171 acres of land in the coastal municipality of Girt, New Jersey. The National Guard Training Center is owned and managed by the New Jersey Department of Military and Veterans Affairs and is home to the New Jersey Army National Guard's Officer Candidate School and the Regional Training Institute. In addition, the New Jersey State Police, Department of Corrections, and Juvenile Justice Commission operate their basic training and continuing education training events at the facility. Lastly, federal and state law enforcement agencies and the National Guard use the on-site small arms range for weapons qualifications and small arms refresher training, respectively. The facility is unique in that it features a variety of natural resources and habitats, including large maintained fields with cool season grass, a back dune area with scrub vegetation, a coastal area with dunes, tidal brackish water within Stockton Lake with adjacent mudflats, and a freshwater wetland area. The Sykes Act and the Army National Guard Installations and Environment Directorate Policy Memorandum for Integrated Natural Resource Management Plans require military facilities to implement and maintain natural resource conservation programs to ensure mission sustainability by allowing access to land, air, and water resources for realistic military training while complying with laws and regulations that protect natural resources. To comply with the Sykes Act and the Policy Memorandum, the facility must develop an integrated natural resource management plan that describes a facility's natural resources and training activities, land management activities affecting military training, recommendations for managing the installation's natural resources in ways that are compatible with the installation mission, and public accessibility and comprehensive outdoor recreation and planning. The plan also includes goals to improve natural resources and metrics to gauge the effectiveness of the site-level natural resources conservation. These plans are developed in cooperation with military trainers and natural resource managers, the public, conservation groups, and federal and state environmental regulators. Girt's first natural resource management plan was developed in 2006 after the facility's beach was nourished by the Army Corps of Engineers in 1999. Nourishment activities widened the beach and provided suitable habitat for several federal and state listed species, including the piping plover, a federally endangered beach nesting shorebird, the least tern, a state listed beach nesting shorebird, and sea beach amaranth, a federally listed beach plant. Since the original and an additional nourishment activity following Superstorm Sandy, these species have frequented the facility's beach during the spring and the summer months. Beach nesting shorebirds have had limited nesting success due to the presence of a large population of red foxes. However, due to an intensive on-site predator control program, 5 piping plover chicks have successfully fledged from the site in the last 2 nesting seasons. The current Natural Resources Management Plan can be found on the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs Environmental Management Bureau website. The National Guard Training Center lies along the Atlantic Flyway, which is the major north-south flyway for migratory birds in North America from Greenland along the Atlantic coast to the tropical areas of South America and the Caribbean. As such, the 2.69-acre on-site freshwater wetland area provides important foraging habitat for migrating birds, such as the greater yellowlegs, killdeer, Atlantic brant, and the semi-palmated sandpiper. They also provide nesting habitat for killdeer and suitable habitat for amphibious species, such as the Fowler's toad, a state species of concern. This area is also used by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection in support of their Atlantic brant migration and breeding ecology study to capture migrating brant that are affixed with tracking devices. This wetland is located at the southeastern end of the facility, east of the campground and the constructed Osprey platform, and just before the beach parking lot. Prior to 1920, low-lying portions of this area were part of the natural edge of Stockton Lake, while upland parts were used for the former rifle range complex. Once the Stockton Lake bulkhead was installed in the late 1930s, the low-lying area was reclaimed by the New Jersey Army National Guard to expand the range complex. Currently, the area is mowed regularly and maintained as open space. The bulkhead and portions of Camp Drive have severed the hydrological connection between the wetland and Stockton Lake. As such, surface water flowing from the northern portion of the site is being retained by Camp Drive and cannot drain to Stockton Lake. The most pressing issue affecting the wetland is the presence of invasive species, such as Phragmites australis, or common reed, and purple loosestrife, the former of which has been noticeably spreading over the past 20 years. As of the spring of 2020, Phragmites cover approximately 0.75 acres of the wetland, and the purple loosestrife covers an additional 0.12 acres. Some salt marsh studies have shown that Phragmites can provide suitable habitat for native fish and invertebrates, and even assist in carbon dioxide sequestration. However, Phragmites and loosestrife typically outcompete native plants in freshwater systems, resulting in undesired changes to the ecosystem and reducing suitable habitat for migrating birds. Reducing invasive species across the site was a goal from the first Natural Resources Management Plan in 2006. This goal was better defined in the Land and Watershed Management Goals of the 2010 Plan Update. Specifically, the goals were established to attempt to reduce and then maintain common reed and purple loosestrife dominance to less than 5% of the total vegetation cover in the freshwater wetland within 5 years. This was to be done by mechanical means and treatment with an appropriate foliar herbicide after cutting, replanting the wetland with an appropriate mix of native herbaceous and shrub species, monitor for the presence of invasive species and the survival of newly planted flora, and to remove any invasive species and replant native species as needed. The goal also included installing a replacement split rail fence around the perimeter of the wetland to prevent visitors from the training center from parking in it. The $500,000 operation started in 2017 with planning. Restoration activities started in December of 2019, continuing through the autumn of 2020. Starting in late December of 2019, Phragmites, poison ivy, and purple loosestrife were removed. As Phragmites australis is capable of growing back even after removing above-ground growth, persistent application of herbicides was planned to occur over the next 2 years to ensure underground growth is eliminated. These native flora include little blue stem, fox sedge, and bayberry, among many others. These flora were placed in and around the flooded areas of the wetland to create shrub islands and shelter areas for organisms frequenting the wetland. Soil excavation and grading were performed to better retain water within the wetlands and create optimal spots to plant native flora. Approximately 2,200 linear feet of split rail fencing were installed around the wetland. Around the wetland will be informational signage explaining the importance of wetlands, the organisms you may see there, the work performed on the wetlands to maintain them, and the harms of human interference and invasive species. This project proved to be a challenge to DMAVA, as the elimination of resistant invasive species requires a long-term maintenance plan. In addition, several permits were needed to perform the desired work, as wetlands are protected under multiple state statutes, such as the Coastal Area Review Act, NJ Wetlands Act of 1970, and the NJ Freshwater Wetlands Protection Act. These permits alone cost approximately $100,000 and are subject to a lengthy review process. With the guidance of the Integrated Natural Resources Management Plan, it is hoped that the Army National Guard can fulfill its mission of maintaining the natural resources at the Girt facility. The Wetland Enhancement Project should make the wetlands enticing for any migrating shorebirds, while the clamshell path and boardwalk pier will allow people to get up close to the wetland to observe the organisms within. With the long-term plan set in place, it is hoped that the wetlands at the facility will continue to re-establish and grow healthily. This Wetland Enhancement Project is one of many examples of ways the Environmental Management Bureau strives to steward the natural resources at New Jersey Army National Guard properties.